fresh breakthrough in the case of the 8 former Indian Navy officers sentenced to death in Qatar on charges of espionage has come in. The Court of First Instance in Qatar has accepted India's appeal for release of the 8 naval veterans. The appeal filed by the Indian legal team in the Qatar court to challenge the death penalty awarded to the 8 naval veterans imprisoned in Doha has now been accepted. The court will now study the appeal to come to a decision in the case. The next hearing is expected very, very soon. Sanjeev Srivastav joins us live, international affairs expert. Sanjeev, we are clearly, of course, hearing some relief coming in for the Indians stuck there. Their appeal has now been accepted by the court.
Yes, so I think this is a positive and constructive development in this case. And certainly this appeal has been accepted by the Qataris court, and they will examine and set a date for hearing. And certainly it will give some relief to the family members and to all of us in India. And certainly we hope that a constructive outcome and resolution of this entire episode will come. But one thing is quite certain is that Indian government is giving this entire case the highest priority, and from back channel side, without saying much, India is doing its best. And the Qatar is one country which has a problem-solving image. And in this recently, the current kind of truce, temporary truce, which has happened in the Israel-Hamas war, the Qatar is the main country which has played the most important role. And the Qatar has been doing such mediation. So when this case has come up between India and Qatar, I'm sure that Qatar will show a lot of a constructive approach with regard to this case too, and the problem will be resolved through negotiations and dialogue. And certainly the legal processes what the Qatar is having, India is following. India is a law-abiding country, and our embassy, our Ministry of External Affairs, and entire diplomatic machinery is very much there to support our 8 Navy veterans. So I'm sure that in times ahead, more constructive developments will happen, and our former Navy officers will come back home sooner than later.
Absolutely. Let me also go across to Rabinder Sachdev, international affairs expert, who's also, I believe, joining us live now. Rabinder, now all eyes on how this appeal will progress. The next hearing reportedly on the 30th of this month.
Thank you so much, Uday. Yeah, certainly, yes, all eyes, because you see, the Qatar judicial system, I mean, the whatever the judgment has been passed by the court of the first instance, right? And now it's going into the Court of Appeals. Court of Appeals, to my understanding, is the last step in the process where, whether the charges are true or not, or whatever way can be specified. Because beyond the Court of Appeals is then the highest court, which is Supreme Court, or the Court of Cassation, so-called, what they call it. Now, in the Court of Cassation, they do not make any judgments on whatever, the charges are. All they define or they check into is that whether the punishment has been accorded according to the charges. That's what the Supreme, the Court of Cassation does. So essentially, in this process, then therefore, the Court of Appeals is the last point where the charges can be proved or disproved. Beyond that, it's only a matter of what the level of punishment should be. So therefore, this Court of Appeals definitely becomes very important. And as Sanjeev has said very, very rightly, I think, that Qatar has an image and it tries to construct its image as a problem solver. Qatar punches a lot beyond its weight in the geopolitical world of today, if we see, right? And Qatar and India have very good relations also. So therefore, it should be expected that, the matter would be resolved. But yes, at the same time, we don't know because the charges, the so-called charges, are very serious. So how the Court of Appeals looks at it, that would be one dimension. And then other, of course, are the diplomacy in the background.
Yes, Sanjeev, now we will have to wait and watch how this trial proceeds, because, the initial trial happened under secrecy. We didn't even know, and overnight the verdict was pronounced. Now we will have to see how the appeal, progresses. Do you believe we must monitor it very closely as well?
Well, I think India is closely not only monitoring, but also very much proactively engaging with putting forth our case. before the Qataris court. And India is providing, all legal assistance to those our former Navy officers. And obviously, Indian government is very much in touch with the family members of our Navy veterans. So India, giving this case the highest priority, though we are not saying much about it in public, but yes, from the back channel side, India is doing its best, and our government is, when our External Affairs Minister, C.S. Jaishankar, met with the family members of our Navy veterans, he had assured them that India is going to do best. But yes, since Qatar has not also said anything in public about it, this case is a kind of is being pursued in a closed manner. So India is also respecting that kind of a procedure, and we are also doing our best from the back channel side. And as I said, that Qatar has a image of problem-solving country. Qatar has been mediating in various, several international cases, whether it is Israel-Hamas's war or when the United States of America started talking with Taliban, that talk went on in Doha. And in recently, United States of America had a prisoner swap deal with Iran, and that kind of a deal was done with the mediation of Qatar. So Qatar has a very good image, constructive image. Qatar has a good relationship with several countries, including India, and I'm sure that India is doing its best from the bilateral side. But if required, and I'm sure that our diplomats, our Ministry of External Affairs must be doing their best with regard to pursuing Qatar from the other, friendly countries of India, those who are friends with Qatar. So I think United States of America is the most important country in this regard, and the US has a very close relationship with Qatar. United States of America has the biggest its military base in the Middle East region in Qatar. So I think all channels are open, and I am sure that there are a lot of possibilities through which we can pursue this case, and I'm sure that all options are being explored, and I'm sure that this matter will be resolved in times ahead. Yes, charges are serious, but yes, these charges and accordingly, a proper and fair justice could be done in such a manner that the interest of our former Navy officials and their family members is secured.
Absolutely. And this is very, it's a great stand that India has decided to stand by our veterans there. And it has decided to stick by them, not leave them in the lurch at this very difficult juncture, Rupinder.
Oh, yeah, Amen. You asking me? Comment?
Absolutely, Rupinder. The question is for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, totally. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot is being done, and the matter should be resolved, I think, neatly. But yeah, given time, and the couple of things. One, stepping back and looking at an overall perspective, yeah, Qatar would agree, or, our mutual friends, not only America, in this case, even Italy is involved because the submarine technology is from Italy, right? About which this whole issue is. So I believe there are back channels with Italy also, and Italy is also in turn communicating with Qatar, or one would assume so. All that said, I would say, any deal in world affairs happens with a give and take. So there would be, very coldly speaking, there would be a certain something that Qatar would ask of India, maybe from such a, in terms of resolving this. Of what that could be, we do not know, and we cannot even speculate.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.